Hi, Joe Ruzick, physical therapist here. I want to do a video today on working against sitting, kind of like what I call my anti-sitting program, because we sit too much anyway, and with the current situation going on, a lot of people are working from home. They just don't have an optimal station. Maybe they're on a little laptop, they're kind of hunched forward. And the real quick tutorial on this is the problem is, we're designed to be in neutral, upright, doing different things, moving different ways. And it's very unnatural for our bodies to be locked into this position. So when we're stuck sitting all day, everything here in the front is just kind of shortened. It's contracted. It's just sitting there. It's no different if I walked around for even a couple hours with my elbow bent like this, my bicep would start getting tight. It's really the same thing. So what we need is a strategy to undo the damage of sitting. Now, I need to say, as a disclaimer, this is not medical advice. This is not physical therapy. This is just pure postural education stuff, and you should actually be evaluated by an appropriate medical professional before doing any fitness activity or movement program. So let's start getting into, what do we want to do? First stage, we just want to warm things up and prep the tissues for activity, all right? So what my favorite way to do that is we call this a swing kick. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our legs kind of spread apart wide, almost like a stride position, or if you're ready to like sprint, you kind of have your legs wide, equal weight on both sides. And then what you're going to do is just let that leg swing forward. You're going to tighten the stomach as you do this too. And that leg is just going to naturally swing forward. It goes from a loaded position back here. If we freeze, there's equal weight on both feet, maybe even more on the back. And then just naturally swings forward as high as comfortable. What this does is start prepping the front and the back of the hip and the thigh for stretching. Okay, 30 times each side warms things up. Number two, we got to think of left to right motion. We've got to stretch the lateral hip. That gets tight when we sit too. A lot of people get tightness around the hips and the back and the glutes when they sit. So what we're going to do is think of just a hip push or a hip sway. Go as far as you can comfortably go. Make sure the knees bend with this. Do not keep your knees locked and do this. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach over by bending the knee and reaching with the hips to create the motion we're after, okay? About 30 times each side. Now we've stretched front to back, left to right. Prep those tissues. Next up, we're going to stretch the hamstring. A lot of people, know what a hamstring stretch is, but we make some common mistakes doing it. So what we want to do is put something in front of you, a chair or a stool. Put your leg out front, knees straight, heels on the chair, toes pointing pretty much up. And what you do, here's the mistake. Most people will say, oh, I'm gonna bend at the back and touch my toe. I feel very little stretch when I'm bending at the back and touching my toe. Instead, what you want to do, keep your core tight, keep your back straight, and just pivot at the hips. Hinge, we call it the hips. The hips do this. Your back stays straight. It is not this. It is just hinging at the hips. Back is completely straight and neutral. That's where you're going to bottom out. You're going to say, ooh, I can only get to here, and then I can't do anymore. I have so much stretch occurring here. To get any further, I would have to bend my back. Don't do that. You're just learning to hinge at the hip and pulse back and forth. That is what's driving the stretch in the back of the thigh. You do about 30 each leg, okay? Now the next one, this is really important. This is the biggie. Is you want to stretch the hip flexors out. The hip flexor, big, powerful muscle group. It is very short when we're sitting. It gets tight. It binds everything up. It pulls on the spine, and we could do a whole video on that. Very important to stretch is the take-home message. So what you got to do, same setup position for the swing kick. You'll see a lot of these have many similarities. What you want to do, though, look down. Your toe needs to be pointing straight, not out, not duck toe. It needs to be pointing straight ahead. So toe straight ahead, wide stride, weight on each foot. Some people will feel a stretch even just to start. From there, what we want to do to accentuate or turn on the stretch or make it, more noticeable is you can do what we call a pelvic tilt, okay? We're going to essentially bring the ribs and the hips together. If you said, here's my belt buckle, I'm gonna kind of bring that belt buckle turning more forward or up. Some people think of a bowl of water. If your pelvis is a bowl of water, and you're standing kind of like this, the water would pour out the front. You're trying to neutralize that bowl so that bowl becomes level and the water stays in the bowl. It's another way to think of it. So it's tightening the abdominal muscles to bring the pelvis into neutral. That should turn on a good stretch in this front hip area. If you're doing it right, that's what you should feel. Advanced version of this, you want to take it to the next level. You can say, oh, okay, I'm going to hold that. I feel it. Now I'm going to pulse. I'm going to pulse forward with the left knee. That left knee is just going to kind of bend a little bit to get me a little more forward motion and turn that stretch on even more. And you can do 30 each side, okay? This one, actually, I would do 3 sets of 30 each side. You know, again, switch, look down, toes straight ahead, pelvis is neutral, pulsing forward, because this is the biggie. This is the big important one for sitting, that even if we just loosen this up, it helps a lot. So 30 times each side, okay? Shouldn't be any pain, just the stretching feeling's all we want. All right, so that's now we've accomplished the stretching phase. So we started with warm-up, preparatory tissue stuff. We went to stretching. Now we're going to actually get right into strengthening, because when you're hunched forward all day, all these muscles from your tailbone to your skull get weak, and we have to say, how do we get the resting position of those muscles, the neutral, the muscle memory to be neutral again? Because they've gotten used to this, we've got to get them out of that position. We're going to do 3 simple things. Number 1 is a squat. Think of a squat. Your hands could be on your hips, they could be here in the ready position, whatever you really want. You're just going to kind of come straight down and back. Belly's tight, pelvis should be pretty neutral. You're just going to go 1, 2. Some people can go really deep. I mean, ideally, yes, over time. We want someone to be able to squat completely down to their full knee bend, you know, kind of butt to heels type thing, without pain, without the heels coming up. You know, it's kind of more of a audit of your range of motion, if you will. But for now, let's just start with just halfway. We're just trying to turn these muscles on. Halfway squats, comfortable level, 30 times, all right? So that's squat. So it's like 6 things to do now. 2 more. This one, really, really important, is we have to learn how to hinge at the hips, not bend at the back, okay? Now, most people know that. If I'm gonna pick a chair up, we know, oh, don't bend at the back and pick it up. But many people, in fact, most, can't properly hinge at the hips, all right? So when I say hinge, it means my back is neutral. If I put my hand on my back, spread your fingers out, put your hand in your low back, and just go with this neutral. Just go with, okay, I'm going to kind of come down. I'm hinging at the hips. I'm pivoting off the hips. My low back is neutral. Low back has to be neutral the whole time. Very important. That's what we're trying to do. Low back neutral, come back and forth. Low back neutral, come back and forth, touching that chair. If you're feeling your shirt or your skin slide along your hand, it means your back has bent, all right? You've got to feel that same relationship. Some people can barely do this and they start feeling that. That's your limit. Start from there, get better at it. Other people can go pretty far before that happens, but you will reach a limit where you feel your back has to bend. That's your limit. You stop there. Try 30 reps, okay? And I realize I'm going through these quick. I just want to make this a quick video so you can kind of learn this over time and really get it down where, hey, this is my routine. I can just bang it out cold every hour or 2, take a break and do this. So you may have to go back and rewatch the video. Also, if you have questions, I can do specific videos on each component because they are all really important. Last one, we kind of tie this all together. We say let's bring it all together. We want tight stomach. We want stability by standing on 1 foot. Usually start with your hand on a wall or something. But same thing, we're hip hinging, but we're doing it in single leg stance. So I'm only on 1 leg, and then I'm going to hinge and return. Typically I reach with opposite hand, but I wanted to show you this leg. So if I was holding on, I would need something here. But what I'm going to do, tight belly, single leg stance, hinging. I'm reaching forward, right? My fingertips are coming straight forward. They're not going down toward the ground. They're just trying to go straight forward. When you do that, your knee has to bend. Your knee's got to bend to help you get there. This is core stability, it's flexibility, it's a lot of things at once. It's working your hip, your knee. It's a really, really good exercise to tie it all together. What we're doing, again, big picture, strengthening all this to keep us upright and to better tolerate the poor position that we're in most of the day. So that's about 7-8 things to do. Essentially, again, try 30 reps on each one, with the only thing being this, the stride out hip flexor stretch where you're pulsing forward like that, filling here with the toe straight ahead, remember? That one I do 3 sets on each side. Do 30, switch, do 30, because this is a really, really important one. Again, if you have questions, reach out, comment below. I can do videos on each one of these specifically, but this is really the best anti-sitting program that I believe you can do, and I really hope it helps.